So the rise of Europe's absolute monarchs is our topic for the day. So this is after the Protestant Reformation. Some of you guys might remember from the end of your eighth grade, or end of your seventh grade year. I'm sorry. So we're going to start by looking at absolute monarchs. And the first question is, what is an absolute monarch? Well, it's a monarch where they have absolutely all the power. So, and we have a picture here of these four guys. These four absolute monarchs are going to look at they're going to be a prototype of absolute monarchs. They're going to show what an absolute monarchy really is. And they are Philip II, Henry VIII, Louis XIV, and Peter the Great. So we're going to look at the causes of absolute monarchy. And the first and foremost cause of absolute monarchy is going to be that Protestant Reformation. So the church really lost a lot of power after the Reformation. Different parts of Europe were Protestant. Some of them were still Catholic, but there was a lot of debate over who was really going to be in charge of things. And really, before that, the church really controlled a lot of things. Not anymore, not after the Reformation. So now these kings in their individual countries are going to kind of run a lot of things. The church loses a lot of authority, and the kings step into that power vacuum. Second cause is going to be the amount of money these guys get from colonies, especially Philip II of Spain. That colony, you might remember, is where we're living now. So it becomes the United States later on. A lot of money, a lot of gold and silver would flow into those countries from their colonies. And they use that money and power to get other people to do what they want them to do. Because when you've got all the gold, people do what you say. Another cause is large armies from constant war. So if you have a large army in your back pocket, people have a tendency not to argue with you. And these kings used a lot of their money from these colonies to make a large army. They spent a lot of time battling with each other. And occasionally had to put down an insurrection or two, which is when somebody else tries to tell the king what to do. When you're at war, a lot of times everybody kind of rallies around one figurehead. And in this case, it's easy. It's the king. And so the average peasant doesn't really necessarily care what the local lord says. If the king says to do something during wartime, well, you just do what the king says to do. And then all of this leads to rulers with total power. Nobody else is allowed to tell them anything. There's no limits on their power. The limitations are going to come later. So if you have a giant army, lots of money, and the church is nowhere around to say anything, you pretty much do whatever you want to say.